All right. So hello, everybody. It'll take a minute to trickle in here. Let's see. On my YouTube end of things, we'll make sure that the stream is popped up. You never know with live stream and StreamYard. It's got a mind of its own sometimes. But let's see here. All right. So I see that the stream is live, and so let's see here. We've got KD in here, K-Day in here, and then looks like Derek Smith popped in. So yeah, so people are seeing it starting to filter in. We'll give them a moment to filter in. We got 10 people hopped in already.
Good deal.
Nano Aquarium guy, good to see you. Derek Smith, good to see you. So this is Brandon, the Blind Fish Keeper is his YouTube channel. He's so much more than the Blind Fish Keeper as far as a person goes, but definitely excited to have you on the show today. Had a good time talking to you the other day. So
yeah, we had a good talk.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, no problem. So just so everyone knows, in the description, in the link below, we've got his channel linked, and Brandon actually has a channel which I highly recommend. The concept of approaching fish keeping sort of with one hand tied behind your back and having to amplify all the other ways you could get at it is just fascinating, and your attitude and optimism is honestly contagious. So
thanks.
I really appreciate what you're doing there, and I highly recommend folks check out that link to your channel below, or you can always Google this or whatnot later. And the Blind Fish Keeper is his channel, the one and only, I suppose.
I hope so.
All right, so the way I think we're going to do this is, for those of you watching and trickling in, welcome. I see Von Lurker, Sandy, Erna, Thomas, Jesse with HC Aqua, what's up, brother? Zen Ginger, Chubbs, what's up? Lots of great people in here, and I think we're going to do questions for kind of the second half of this, but the first half we kind of just want to get to know you, hear your story, and
Sure.
a little bit about how you do what you do, because it's one, fascinating, and two, if I have a day where I overflow a bucket or I lose a tetra or something, it kind of puts things into perspective to the challenge I could be dealing with. And thank you for keeping on, as it were.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
as far as the overflowing goes, it's just a matter of being very attentive.
Yeah, I bet. So can you hear that then? I mean, I feel like I can hear it a little bit, like when you hear that the water's getting near the top.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I was just curious if you had a system of feeling or hearing, or like
a
what
little
sense
bit of both. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Okay.
So I use the Python to refill my tanks, and I've got that Python hook, so I can hear when the water actually hits that nozzle. Everything will kind of go quiet, and I know to get over there and start testing with my hands. Yeah. To make sure it doesn't overflow.
Right on. So it looks like we have a fair number of people trickling in now, which is good. What's up, 503? Only Oscars, Brad, Deborah, Acupuncture. What's going on, guys? So glad to have everyone here. Let's start at the beginning, so to speak. What got you into fish? That's kind of the question everyone always, starts with, but it seems applicable, right?
Yeah, definitely. My grandmother got me into fish. When I was about, 7 or 8 years old. My grandparents lived on a lake, and I pretty much grew up with a fishing pole in my hand, and everything that comes with catching baby turtles every year, and anything involved with the water. And one afternoon she picked me up and we went to this fish store and started looking around, and she asked me about, what I thought about it. And me being just, I've always been just real big into animals and nature and all that. It blew my mind. I was said, yeah, I would love to keep some fish. And so she started me off with guppies and neon tetras and angelfish.
Right on.
And
how old were you probably?
Maybe 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, same kind of here.
Yeah. And sometime in high school, I had a Petco that was within walking distance. I guess this is right before high school.
Yeah,
it was right before high school because it was within walking distance of my house. And back then, the 10-gallon tanks were actually regular price, $10.
Yeah.
So I got quite a few of them, and I started catching little stuff out of the ponds in the neighborhood, and I got really super addicted to platies for a little while. And
right on. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, Memphis, Tennessee. So you've got some kind of subtropical species can kind of survive outside and stuff there too. Plus quite a few interesting critters down there, little lizards and geckos and stuff like uranoles and stuff like that.
A little bit. It gets kind of cold there for 5 or 6 months out of the year, but now I'm down in Florida, down in Central Florida in Orlando, and it's amazing down here.
yeah, boy, you can kind of keep for most of the year, all but a month or two or something like that.
I can easily throw a heater into that pond and I won't have to take anything out.
So you have a pond too, huh? Not just tanks.
Yeah, my very first one I've ever set up is going really well.
Right on. And is that kind of traditional like koi or goldfish, or what do you?
It's 100-gallon, just one of the Rubbermaid stock tanks. I've got guppies, white clouds, and platies.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah.
And various plants and stuff going on in there. I had my first baby super red plecos born in my they were actually born in my African tank, and by the time I discovered that there was babies, there was only one left, and he's now out in the pond.
I know how that goes. My lemon bristlenose right now have a bunch of eggs, and I'm curious to see how many make it with all the madness that's going on in the community.
Definitely.
The dad will guard it though for a month, even if it's one baby in there. It's pretty impressive.
Well, it was kind of funny. We didn't find any in the tank. It was actually, I've got a hang on the back overflow that goes to the sump on that tank.
Oh yeah.
And he was up in the overflow.
I've heard that story all too many times with baby fry getting up into that overflow or into the hang off a back filter kind of thing or whatnot. Yep. So I have a question, and then we can get back to kind of the timeline of you keeping fish. But so when you're selecting a fish, well, I guess we should talk about this first. So how long have you not had your sight? Were you born that way, or were you?
Okay. I'm coming up September. I'll be 5 years without sight.
Okay, so you remember, colors and fish and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I was curious if like what makes you pick out a fish? Are you interested in what is it that would attract you about a fish in particular?
I'd say 90% of the fish that I've got now are fish that I knew before I lost my sight.
Sure.
With the exception of like my rainbow fish. I just recently got into rainbow fish. So although I remember seeing rainbow fish in pet stores and in fish stores, I don't exactly know what they look like. I just remember them being kind of really cool looking. But most of the fish I've got are fish that I knew before I lost my sight. Other than that, it's just, this whole accessibility that technology has given us these days. I can learn about literally anything under the sun, and so any fish that catches my eye, I just dive straight into. And if I think it's something that I can manage, I usually end up with a tank and trying it out.
Yeah, I kind of have the same problem.
I don't have, I'm not like more favored towards any particular type of aquarium. I've got planted tanks, I've got shrimp tanks, I've got cichlid tanks,
Sure.
South American and African. I've got a pea puffer tank. I like fish, and any of them that interest me, I try and go after and learn about.
For sure. So I'm going to play a little dumb because I know we talked for an hour or two the other day, but I want everyone else to be on the same page, sort of thing.
Definitely.
So I guess, somebody asked, and I don't know if they're being facetious or what, but you told me you are an open book, and you're
definitely.
happy to answer stuff. You're a laid back guy. I'm the same way. No, and I'm curious. Your response to somebody said, if he's blind, what is the point in keeping fish? And to me, no offense who asked the question, if you asked it sincerely,
not the first time I've ever been asked.
But I mean, I totally understand a couple reasons why, but I'd love to hear what your response is, especially since I'm assuming you've heard that a few times now.
I have, with more than just the fish.
Yeah.
When I went blind, it was like, it wasn't something that happened very slowly. It was like the light switch getting turned off.
Uh-huh.
So overnight, I went from being able to see and do to nothing. Man. And I had a couple of aquariums at the time, and when that happened, I went into a really bad place and stopped everything. I used to draw and paint and do the aquariums, and I would be out and about. I'm not someone that's ever really sat in front of computers or played games. I've always been out in the yard making flower beds, or out walking through the forest, or fishing or something, kayaking, and it all just came to a grinding halt. And I thought my life was over, and I sat pretty much locked up for about a year. In a really bad place. And one day I decided that I didn't want to just sit and die, just sit on the couch and die. And I decided that the stuff that I loved before, I was finding out, I could still make my own food. I could still, clean myself, shave, get up and go for a walk. Why not be able to do the things that I liked as a hobby as well?
So kind of proving to yourself that you can get back into the routines you had when you were, before you lost your sight.
Yeah, I mean, it just was a matter of figuring out a new way to do it, or, for lack of a better phrase, a new way of looking at things. And I started off actually with a tortoise. I was messing around on YouTube one day and came across Camp Kennan, his channel.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and his enthusiasm kind of got me thinking, and I was watching his channel and decided, I bet I can keep up with a tortoise. and so I, within a few months, I had bought a tortoise table and all the supplies and ordered a little baby cherry head. And that started me down the road. And after I figured out how, I couldn't see him, but I could put my hands on him. I could put my hands into his enclosure, and I could feed him, and I could feel what was going on. With minimal support from people around me, just giving him like a visual once over here and there, making sure he looked all right. I was perfectly capable of taking care of him. And, fish have been probably one of the biggest, my favorite thing to do my whole life was just to get lost in my aquariums.
Sure.
And I decided that, that wasn't a much bigger step from the tortoise. I got a little 10-gallon aquarium and set it up. I knew already how to do all the maintenance. I knew how to set up filters and all the other stuff. It was just a matter of doing it without looking, without being able to see what I was doing. And once I got my hands on it, I found out it wasn't really all that hard. Your hands are the best tools that you could ever have. And since going blind, I've always thought that we depend way too much on our vision to let us know what's going on around us.
Sure.
Aside from not being able to see my fish, I can get in the tanks, and I'm in the tanks every day, checking plants and doing water changes and cleaning filters. And my hands tell me so much more in some ways than my eyes ever could.
Sure. I mean, so we were talking the other day, and I was just saying too that quite frequently when I'm doing aquascaping, I'll have, a big old bunch of Rotala, Ludwigia, and I don't know, Pogo stem, and all mixed together. And I can't see what's going on in there. I have to put my hand in and follow the stem from the base upwards, count the nodes, and pinch off the stem with my fingernail, just, right above or below wherever it is, you're trying to do something. And that's, it made me think, like, could I do all this without looking at all? And I think if I had a good image of it beforehand, if someone explained to me that I might, with some practice, I could see where then, how tall things are, where they are, what plants are kind of where. So is kind of like Dutch aquascaping, where you put species kind of in clusters, is that helpful to you, or do you have a type that you like?
Yeah, I kind of just like the nature aquarium, wild, jungle style. I'll definitely plant things in groups, but as I propagate, I tend to move things to open areas. If there's a spot that's open, it doesn't matter to me if I've got a plant that's going to top of the water, in the front, the back, mid ground, any of that. I kind of look setting my tanks up. I think of what is going to make my animals feel the most comfortable. What's going to look the most natural. I don't have to have a perfectly manicured tank.
Sure.
As long as my plants feel healthy and look healthy, and the fish can maneuver and feel safe, then I'm good with it.
So, people can go to your channel and see you're not just putting random plants in a tank. Like, you have a very nice looking aquascape in your tanks. Definitely. It's very intentional. And I would assume that you can tell also, if a plant's struggling with problems, you can kind of feel it in the leaves feeling kind of thin or melty.
I can definitely, to a degree, I can definitely tell. If there's holes developing, I can feel the holes. If I've got blackbeard algae growing around the edges, sometimes I can feel that. If the leaf is usually, you know, one of the sturdier, stronger leaves, I can certainly tell when it's losing, or when, you know, when it's time to be trimmed off and let some new growth come in.
Wow.
I can feel the difference and all that stuff.
That's very cool.
And even with my water, I do a lot of testing just by, I guess, habit anyway. Sure. But typically I can smell the water and I know, okay, it's time to do a change or something. Something's not quite right. I can typically smell it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you know, they say that I did a video called "What's That Smell?"
Oh yeah.
Like, or you know, and it's basically 7 different smells, but I don't think it's a coincidence that I mean, geosmin is one of the smells we smell. Petrichor is another smell we smell. Ozone is another one.
Right.
But out of all these smells, they are some of the most sensitive senses we have. Like,
yes,
we can sense ozone 1 part per billion in the atmosphere. I mean, that's like shark level sensing.
It's incredible.
And like vanilla to smell, you need to smell like 1 part per 100,000 particles or something. Right. And we're talking 1 in a billion is we can sense fresh water, you know? So I think evolutionarily, we definitely have a lot of, I mean, just physically and cognitively, maybe we're detached from that, but we've sure got the ability to smell rot versus ammonia versus earth versus vegetation that's healthy. And yes. You know, I encourage people too to close your eyes, go smell the back of your filter. If it makes you wince, you know, and it doesn't smell earthy, mushroomy, can smell a little
earthy,
swanky, but you don't want it to smell like sewer ever.
I always kind of equate it to like, you know, if you're at a lake or a pond, next to that body of water, you know, there's a certain smell in the air. And if your tanks smell like that, then you're pretty sure, you know, it's a healthy system. If you can open up your lid and you can, and it makes you take a step back, or you walk into your fish room and you're like, whoa, something's off, then it's time to start investigating.
Yeah, so you probably know pretty well too, like, oh, something died over here, you know, like if that's the case. I mean,
sometimes,
even like a guppy, I usually can tell if it's, you know, if it's been 12 hours or whatever, if I'm not in there. So I guess another thing that I'm curious about, because somebody asked the question too, is so when you look at your tank, are you seeing anything? I mean, do you have any optic nerve function in that light, or do you like at what level, or is there no level of sight?
No. So I have diabetic retinopathy, and typically that's a slow creeping kind of blindness. I had some surgery when I first discovered that I had it, and in that surgery, one of the optic nerve in my right eye got clipped, and so that was like immediate lights out. I still had some sight in my left eye and continued working for a while, even with just that one eye. And I'd gone to work one day and come home for lunch, and I sneezed and I blew a blood vessel in that eye, and I watched my sight just disappear. Just like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so ever since then, I've got nothing. I can't see any kind of movement. I can't see, you know, anything, no shapes, no nothing. I can, if I'm outside and it's a bright enough day, I can tell that the sun's shining, aside from just being able to feel it.
Yeah.
Out of that one eye. And with these LEDs, if I'm up close enough to them, these LEDs these days are so strong, I can tell if an LED has been turned on or not.
Okay. Wow.
That's about it. And I have to be pretty close to it.
Sure.
I have to be almost right on top of it to to even sense that light.
Interesting. So it really is for the love of the other senses. You're not seeing blurs swimming around and knowing what. Yeah. So that makes me, you know, because for me, one of the things I get the most from keeping fish is the fact that I have to get up in the morning, even if I'm depressed, and take care of something that needs me. So I mean, is there an element of that, like, you know, wanting to make the best environment that you can for them?
For sure.
And that kind of end of things. I mean, like, did that help you with your, you know, the dark times you went through?
Definitely.
You know, they say, you know, helping others sometimes, you know, even if you don't feel like helping yourself, it can help you in the long run. You know, when your energy is helping or loving something else, it kind of comes back to you in a way.
Definitely.
Even when you can't necessarily wrap your head around, or if it's, I mean, clearly you had a logical reason to be very depressed and upset with life and how things were unfolding. But, you know, for those people who just have chemical reasons where they just feel depressed and down, it all works kind of the same way, in that, you know, sometimes doing things for the sake of someone else or something else indirectly gives you meaning.
It makes a huge difference. It draws you out of yourself. And I love it. You know, I get up and one of my first things to do is walk around and feed my tanks. And with, you know, like with my Africans, they are so voracious, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, they just attack the top of the water when you drop food in. So, you know, there's a little bit of a sense of connection there, because I can hear them. You know, they'll splash me. They're pretty intense when they feed. And like with my big Oscar here in the tank behind me, she'll eat out of my hand. And you know, even with the rainbow fish, they'll splash you too when you feed them. So it definitely is a good feeling. And when I'm told, hey, you've got more babies in the tank, or God, you've got shrimp everywhere, you know, it's a great feeling to know that, you know, I've built an ecosystem that's, you know, supporting life, and that I'm able to maintain it.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I think in the hobby, you've got some people, a lot of people with a lot of trauma is very common.
I think so as well.
And you know, whether that's I see a lot of people who are former war veterans or domestic abuse survivors, or whatever it may be, you know, or chronic pain or illness.
It's very easy just to get lost in your aquarium. Even before I went blind, you know, I could sit down after work in front of a tank, and, you know, before I know it, 3 hours have passed and I haven't moved, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now they're finding too, and nobody know, from what I've read, you can read a lot of wishy-washy stuff, but they know that moving water, you know, one, the sound relaxes you. It even people who say they're annoyed by it, it actually slows their biological, you know, their blood pressure and things, which is interesting. Even people who are like, make that noise stop. It's just like
I love that.
We're that, and I mean, smelling clean water and the ozone, the fact that negative ions fly off of any moving water, and we can sense that also. It's interesting that we've definitely evolved as a species to be around water and clean water. And you know, fish were probably a big source of protein and food for, you know, I mean, we've probably been linked to fish for, you know, hundreds of thousands of years in some way.
Definitely.
And 90% of the population centers in the world are around water. So I'm just, you know, in my head, you know, pardon me, I know this is your show, you know, time to share whatever you want, but I'm just kind of trying to connect dots in my head of, you know, why we're all drawn towards this, and why it's not just a singular sense that draws us to it, you know?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And
again, it's all, minus the taste. All of my other senses are very highly involved in this.
yeah.
And even to a degree, I mean, you can open up a can of food and you can smell it and be like, I know what that would taste like.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's really interesting. And also, by the way, I see that your mother, is it Robin?
Yes.
Is in the chat too. So thank you so much, Robin, for
Oh, hey, Mom.
she's helped orient the camera and everything. I take it this morning and or afternoon.
Yes, definitely.
And so thank you very much. And that's awesome. Also,
Yeah,
I've
got an incredible support system that I couldn't do it without the help of my folks.
Well, that's so good to hear. And I also want to extend very seriously too, if you need anything like I got this, nobody's around and I want to do a test on my water, but I can't see what color or shade it is or whatnot.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, if you ever need to text a picture to someone, feel free to text me. But beyond that, I'm sure a lot of our community, if you have a way to post to Facebook and see that kind of stuff, I don't know how hard it is for you to navigate on there.
Once I get accustomed to a platform, I can maneuver it pretty easily.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to throw it out there because I know the kind of people that watch the channel, and I know a lot of people would happily, assist if there's anything we can do. You know what I mean? Like we're always helping each other with identifying weirdo species and things like that too. So it's
Right.
It's just another task, right?
Oh man, we've got an absolutely great community.
Yeah. So, and then I also just saw Mary Paige with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Mary. She says, hello, everyone. I've been listening in to the wonderful conversation. Please hit the like button. Well, thanks for reminding folks.
Definitely.
And definitely, like I said, please go check out his channel. I watched it, and there's the level on your channel of thinking about like, this is, you're functionally okay. Yes, you're aquascaping and you're teaching us something, and that's cool. But then there's also a whole other level with you that is like, Andy did it with his eyes not not as part of it, and it just really makes you think about the way that we go about it. I mean, I know a lot of us are limited in, maybe someone's missing a limb or they've lost, I have neuropathy in my fingers. So I'm actually really bummed that I'm starting to lose, because of where my vertebrae are herniated, starting to lose some of that sensitivity to feeling those plants,
Right, definitely.
And so I just want to encourage people to think about what senses you're using when you're keeping fish or gardening or whatever it may be. But I mean, really, the more you can connect parts of your brain and body and senses, the better we form memories, and the more ingrained those habits and behaviors become. So
yeah, definitely.
I guess other than touch, I would assume touch is probably number one for you.
It's probably what I use more. That and my hearing.
Okay.
Because I mean, all of us, even with or without sight, you can walk in or near one of your aquariums and you can hear if something, like if one of your filters is not acting right, or if something doesn't sound right. It's pretty obvious to most everybody when you're tuned into that kind of thing. But I'd say my hands are probably the biggest tool I have. If I've got a question about something, go scrub up and take a lid off and get your arms in.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's another question is, do you have a procedure? I take it you don't probably use soap before you clean up. I mean, like what's your procedure before you get your hands in with the fish?
I just try to make sure that I haven't touched anything that would be considered harmful to the tanks. And if I do have it's like an all natural soap that it's supposed to be safe,
Right on.
biologically safe. So, but I'll wash and I will sit there under the water until I feel confident that I won't get anything in the tank.
Yeah, for sure. That's I mean, it's just a good reminder for folks because you can throughout the day touch all sorts of things or even just lotion or whatnot, and fish are so sensitive, I mean, do you find yourself and I don't know if this is a crazy question, but do you find yourself putting yourself in the place of the fish at all? I mean, I do that, but I'm curious about like, do you think about what sounds or what, like what it is they're experiencing, like, and has that changed at all, with your situation?
I think my whole life I've done that. I feel like if I'm going to be a good keeper of any type of animal, I need to be able to put myself in that animal's place.
Totally.
But yeah, I take things that I observed while I was out running around in the forest or out by lakes or even by the ocean. How do these rocks sit? What are these fish? How are they interacting with what's there?
Right.
How do the plants grow? And then, I think to be any kind of effective in, you've got all these different rules to aquascaping, but I think really to be effective, just go out and take a look at what's around you.
Yeah.
There's no rule in nature. It's just, if you can make it look natural, and I'll do that with when I'm building a tank, my hands are all over it, left, right, back, forward, up, down. Okay, that feels natural. Now, if I was a fish, I need to have a place to feel safe and get out of sight if I want, and I can put that together. And right here would be a really cool place. I can see a plant growing out from in between these rocks, or.
So I bet your fish have a much more comfortable tank than mine. You know what I mean? Because this is something I need to work on, because I'll build a cave or I'll put a hut in that's pre-made, but when you're really feeling every square inch of that terrain, and you've got a fish this size or that size and its behavior is this or that, I mean, you really ensure that fish feels at home.
I think also I'm aware, like, you can walk up to your tank and you can see visually what's in front of you, but I tell people, like, my senses didn't get any stronger when I lost my sight. I just became 360 degrees aware. And it's kind of the same with the aquariums. Like, I know that behind that rock over there, there's a nice little dip. There's an overhang on the backside of that rock that a pleco could get underneath, or, just because the wood looks this way on the side that's facing me, on the other side of it is a whole other world.
Right. Yeah.
That I need to remember to leave accessible for the animals.
I think that's a really good point, and something we can all learn from you in that regard too, is how often do we set something up because it looks good or because it stacks okay that way and it's not going to fall over, but how often, I know frequently I'll put a rock in a back corner and all the fish want to go hide underneath that rock if there's a little wedge. But how many of those spots do I leave in other spots, knowing that they can't all hide in the one spot? So, and some people, consciously want their fish to be out, but is that really what's best for the fish? You know what I mean? Like, for you, I take it you don't necessarily care that they're always out in the center stage, wide open. No, you want them just comfortable, right? So
exactly. And from my experience doing it the way I do it, when people come in, I think because they are comfortable enough to know that they can run and hide when they want, they come out when people come into the room. You know,
they
come
totally
out
agree.
and come to the front. They interact, and I think it is because they know they've got security if they need it.
Yeah, you know, I've told people that with like especially schooling fish like celestial pearl danios or little nano fish that are kind of flighty.
Yep.
People will say, you know, they don't come out, they hide all the time, and I say, well, add more plants or make the plants denser, and they say, why would I do that? I'm never going to see them, and or coolie loaches, for instance. And it's if they know that they can disappear in a second or two if they need to, they're far more likely to go out into that open area.
Definitely.
So, I mean, these lessons that you're learning and teaching, you know, people on your channel, you really have a perspective that I feel like we're hard pressed to remind ourselves to pay attention to these things, whereas you've had to adapt to them. And
Definitely.
I mean, we've just touched now, you know, on a couple of these incredible details and things that you concern yourself with that maybe the average fish keeper doesn't. And so, I mean, like I said, I highly recommend people check out your channel, and thank you for putting it out there, for putting yourself out there. You know, I know you probably have to put up with some what could be sensitive questions if you're having a rough day as it is or something, you know.
And you know, as far as that kind of stuff goes, I'm pretty mellow about it. I don't look at criticisms or questions as an insult. I look at them as an opportunity to teach, because people, you know, most people don't interact with someone who's visually impaired that often. And if I lose my temper or get angry at them for something that is just a lack of understanding or just a plain ignorance about something, then it doesn't do either of us any good when I could extend that hand and teach them something about it rather than, you know, be offended.
Right on. That is, I mean, that is the ultimate spirit of what I hope people take away from the hobby, the channel. You know, it's not lording information over people.
No,
I mean,
definitely.
it's I get excited and I talk over people sometimes, but it's usually because I'm nerding out over something, and you know, we both get so excited about whatever it is that we're on to. And I feel like, you know, sometimes I do that and I have to realize, Alex, that's rude, stop that. But I mean, the sake of, you know, when I designed the channel, it was I was going to learn something each day or each week, and then share the interesting parts or applicable parts with the channel. And I get that back from the subscribers tenfold. You know, they're always sharing great stuff. And you know, I think also it's important to remember that stupid versus ignorant, you know, or malicious versus ignorant are very different. And you know, ignorant is not having the info, and therefore you can do something that could be hurtful. But a lot of people just need that info or that perspective, and then it changes everything. And I think most of the world's problems are due to ignorance. And that's a fixable, it's a fixable problem if we all work together. So I mean, thank you so much. And you know, if people want to reach out to you after this stream, I mean, your channel, you're on there. Do you you know, do you interact with your channel much? Or
I try to give a response to every single comment that comes in.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess, I mean, what's the future hold for you if you have it your way? What's you know, what's your hope for
bigger
the hobby?
and better?
Yeah
definitely. To steal from, I guess, Ben Ochard, never stop learning.
Yeah and you know, so I guess I'm just trying to think too, you know, if technology is always getting better too. So I mean, there's a chance too that if down the road, 10 years, you may have your sight back again. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. They're always working on stuff.
So
that would be incredible. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, wow, what
being able to see and then walking in here to this fish room and actually see what I created.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen the research they've done where they put a sensor on someone's tongue and it has 250 pressure points, and it pushes on their tongue, and their visual cortex over time starts to actually see a 256 pixel image.
Oh man, I've heard of lots of different attempts and things that they're trying, but I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah, that was one I saw on Channel 9 probably 2 years ago. I think it was MIT was doing it, or through Johns Hopkins and MIT.
That's kind of incredible.
But I mean,
rewire, redirect the brain.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy in that sense too. How your lips, I think they say, have the most nerves per square millimeter or inch, but then your fingers, and by that sense, I think we all have our fingers, our hands, our touch is wired to our visual cortex, whether we realize it or not. But when you don't have your visual cortex, with sight normally entering, since you have memories of sight, do you feel like you kind of project old images in your head while you're feeling those things? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of like a bonus that maybe if someone born blind wouldn't necessarily have, I suppose.
Yeah, I've met a couple of people who have never seen, and it's weird to think, like, for me, I can ask, well, what does that look like? And it can be described to me generally pretty easily, but you think for someone who hasn't ever seen before, how do you describe the color red?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
how do you describe that?
Yeah. It's definitely,
they have that person would have no way of knowing color means absolutely nothing to them. Right.
And I mean, ironically, color is not real in the sense that everything's real if we experience it to some degree. So we'll say that philosophically, but
it's all how your eyes, your
color
eyes filter that spectrum.
Yeah, color is a reflection off a surface, and a lot of fish can see ultraviolet.
I know, that's incredible.
We don't see ultraviolet anyways. So what are we missing? I mean, someone could ask, why are you keeping fish when you can't see ultraviolet? You know what I mean? Like, that's their whole world too. And we don't have any idea what they're seeing, or mormyrids, or, electric eels, or whatever. A lot of fish use either sonar
all these extrasensory,
catfish, they have taste receptors all across their body. They have got like over 1,000 on their external body. And so, I don't know, a response as I'm sitting here thinking of it, of why would you keep fish if you're blind? It's like, we are blind to what they're experiencing in so many ways.
I mean, we build the tanks that, aesthetically are pleasing to us, but what does it look like to the fish that are living in it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, and I think about that sometimes because, the way fish school and things like that, the reflection, that silvery color, the iridescence, is designed to confuse predators. It sheds kind of a disco ball of UV light all over the place, and they can't, figure out which fish is which or what's going on. And to us, it's sparkly and pretty, but I mean, it's a whole other level. And same with, obviously catfish can sense, and loaches and things. I mean, your senses are all relative to what you have to deal with daily.
Exactly.
And if you're a sucker fish and you're on a log and your face is, a millimeter from the surface all day, your eyesight may not be that important. Texture is probably more important.
and if you're living in that chocolate milk river,
Right.
where
Yes.
you can't see in front of you anyway, your eyes don't really do you much good.
Totally. Yeah. Well, so if it's okay with you, I want to open up this for kind of questions, if that works for you.
Definitely.
So if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask Brandon, that would be awesome. He's a very approachable guy. So obviously, let's just be respectful like we would be of anyone, but obviously, there's no stupid questions, just ignorant questions, and we're okay with those.
Ask away.
So
I have to thank anybody that may be already subscribed to me. I just passed my 100 subscribers.
Right on. Well,
on my channel, it's very new.
Hopefully, yeah. When did you start your channel?
I think it was in September.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not even a year old yet.
Yeah, for sure. That's always hard. So many people have a hard time getting even to 100 in that first year or two, or whatever it may be.
Definitely.
So how many subscribers did you say you think you have got?
I think as of this morning, I was at 103.
Well, I just want to let you know right now you got 117, so people are digging what they're hearing.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Thanks.
So I just took a look at that, but I hope you get a whole lot more because you're such an inspirational guy. And
it's kind of difficult for me at the moment. I've got to, with the lack of technology, I'm working up to the cameras and the tripods and
sure,
and stuff that would allow me to film and have both hands free to do what I do.
Right, yeah.
So my videos are kind of limited right now as to what I can show as far as how I do things, unless someone's here to film for me. But it's all coming.
Mother's not very good at
it. Well, they look fine. I mean, so far, but it's
all coming. It's all coming.
That's awesome. And I mean, are you involved with any fish clubs locally or anything like that, or do you interested in that?
No, I've not. I've not gotten involved with any of them. With the last year and a half or so being kind of shut down, I didn't really bother. I haven't been here in Orlando very long. I moved here right after Hurricane Michael. I was living in Panama City, and we pretty much had our house blown down around us. So we transplanted to Orlando after the hurricane. And
man, you've got one life story, one thing after another.
It's been pretty wild.
Well, I mean, if you can keep a smile on your face, it's inspiration.
I can always find a reason to smile.
Yeah, there's always something, whenever it's one of those weird things too, that like when I get the flu, I think, oh man, this is awful. How could I feel any worse when all your bones ache and everything? And when you get over it, you feel like Superman, and you're like, well, at least I don't have the flu anymore. I feel like I've got superpowers. But I think about that all the time. Like, well, at least I got my leg. At least I got this. When I got hit by lightning, I had to go through one of those, woe is me, I'm not able to do this or that. I have to take hormones daily and pain and yada yada. But everybody's got something, and
of course.
And it's just cool to see you doing something, especially in a realm that makes people go, huh? How's that work? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So I think I see a question, which was where was it? It was I think it was, what was his? Where did it go? How did I lose that already? Oh yeah. Aria H asked, what is your favorite interaction with fish, like with keeping fish?
I think, honestly, my favorite one is when my big Oscar comes and eats out of my hand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because, I mean, she actually makes contact with me.
Right on.
And every now and then, when I'm in the tank, I'll have a fish brush by me, but she will actually come to me. So that's really one of my more favorite.
Yeah. If you have, I've noticed that pepper quarries will do that too. And that any gara, so panda gara, rufa gara, spotted gara, the gara flavatas, you know, they all will come clean the oil and dead skin off your hand, and so you'll get like 5 or 6 on your hand. And for me, that's always been a fun one. Or panda loaches will do the same thing, and they'll kind of suck on your fingers and just kind of do these little test nibbles, like what is in my tank kind of thing.
Yep. I know another is the the Africans are so food driven.
Oh yeah.
That I can go to feed them, and they are practically jumping out of the tank to get to the food before I can get it to the water.
I can hear mine from the other room making this like popping noise, which is their mouth snapping at the
hitting the surface.
Yeah. The haplochromis I have they're about 7 inches right now, the bigger ones in the tank. And man, those things, they'll do the thing where they get towards the top of the water and they'll turn really quick so that their tail kicks the water out of the tank. It's just funny. They're just being brats, you know. I think they know that it makes a mess, and it makes me come in and interact with them, you know.
Oh yeah, my African tank is in my bedroom, and all night long I hear splashes and something hits the glass, and the covers of the tank, or it sometimes I've got to call someone in. Hey, there's no one knocked out or dead in here.
Yeah, it sounds like a boxing match happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Mary Paige had a question, which is, I missed it. Did he say it at the beginning? But which is his favorite fish? And are there any fish that he's kept for years that you enjoy most?
I think kind of like what we touched on earlier, I don't have a particular type of fish that's really my favorite. I just love fish.
Yeah.
As far as in my own personal collection, I've got my big Oscar is number one. And that stems back to, being a kid. I think, Oscars are such a gateway into the hobby. And Oscar was probably one of the first big fish I ever saw someone keeping in their home, and it was something I always wanted.
Sure.
And aside from her, I've got the little Madagascar cichlid that I've got growing out. That's always been one of my dream fish. So to finally have one of those is pretty cool. I've got a big male frontosa that's starting to get kind of impressive.
Nice.
My rainbow fish have really got me here recently. I've only been keeping them for a few months now, and I've got a few different species of them, and they're really kind of grabbing my attention.
So are there, someone can obviously explain to you, like, rainbow fishes go through such a transformation in that they get the big hump and the shape.
Right. There's so many different shapes of them just in general.
Yeah.
Sizes and shapes, and, they aren't called rainbow fish. They're called rainbow fish for a reason.
So, do you have, I almost feel like I wish I could, or it'd be helpful to have like Play-Doh or like a model or something.
Yeah.
To show you to show you the shape they're in now or whatever. So is there any way that I would assume, but maybe I'm wrong. It's pretty hard to catch a rainbow fish and feel what it is shaped like.
Well, one thing I do is like when I get fish, I don't catch them in a net and put them in the tanks. I usually open the bag and I grab them with my hand. I feel like it's more gentle on the fish than having them go into a net. And whenever we do have to transplant fish or move fish from tank to tank, I always, before you drop it, let me feel it. Let me see what what we're looking at here. How big has it gotten? What's the body feel like? Is it, overweight? Is it lean? Is it, does it feel like it's strong and healthy?
Yeah, you can sure feel that energy of a fish. Like if when I had
Certainly.
I had this big 8-inch angelfish, and I mean when I'd put him in a net just to get him out of the tank, he'd hurt himself slamming into the side. But when I'd hold him, he could feel like as long as I held him firm, he knew that I was in control. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't going anywhere, but you could feel as soon as you let go of that control a little bit, he would kind of test his boundaries of, can I get out of this one yet? So
rest in peace, Sergio.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he was a cool fish. But all right, let's see here. So somebody else asked. Here, Fishy says, my dojo loach is super tame and allows handling. Are there any tame fish you've encountered or recommend in particular?
I don't really do a lot of handling of my fish. If they want to come up to me while I'm in the tank, that's fine, but I don't actually seek them out. I kind of want to, I let them live their life and do their thing. And I did that. I was that way with my fish before I went blind. I wanted them to live as natural an existence as possible. Being that, we keep them in these completely man-made ecosystems,
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of species live a lot longer in fish tanks than they do in the wild on average. So if you do it right, you can give them a good life,
Exactly. So. But no, if a fish is inquisitive, I wouldn't stop it from wanting to come and check me out. And I used to have a couple of fish that, the cichlids being cichlids, they would say, get away from me or get out of my territory if I was doing some cleaning, come up and give me a bite. But otherwise, I'm not in the tank just to get my fish to come up and play with me.
And that's great because it's not that great for their biofilm over and over.
I don't want to
some fish are okay, but like plecos are probably going to be fine, but yeah. And
I don't want to cause any undue stress.
Sure.
Any that might not like it.
Randy Roman, one of our viewers, says, you're the boss, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's see here. All right. Has he ever kept fish? Oh, has he ever kept fish that see like him? So I'm guessing that would be like blind cave fish.
I thought those were some of the most interesting fish in the world when I was a kid, but I've heard from more than one source that they're kind of dull. So I've never really gotten into it. I never went after them. Now I do have one of my Africans is missing an eye due to a pretty nasty fight. So I guess that's kind of similar.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's let's see, did I miss any? I feel like I don't know if I missed any questions yet, but let's see here. And looks like also, by the way, looks like we got 126 subscribers on your channel now.
Oh, wow.
I happen to have the window open, so hopefully there'll be some new folks listening to your next video, and checking out your old other videos, because as much as I'd love to talk to you all day, obviously we can't go forever, and I don't want to take up all your time and your mother's time, but thank you so much. It looks like we got another question, which is are you going to Aquashella by any chance in Orlando?
As a matter of fact, I am. I got my tickets this weekend.
Right on. And by the way,
I will be there. I will be the only guy wandering around with a white cane.
Yeah, that's awesome. So someone says, what is the best feeling fish and what is the weirdest feeling fish that you've encountered? Like, is there a texture or a,
Oh yeah,
that you
definitely.
think is cool?
I like the feel of the quote unquote scaleless fish.
Yeah.
They're real smooth and soft.
kind of like a shark or suede or something.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So like the loaches and stuff like that are really interesting as long as you stay away from their barbs.
Yeah, for sure.
And then of course, like your armored catfish are just interesting.
Yeah.
Which they can do some damage if you don't know how to handle them as well. This giant Plecostomus behind me, I try to keep my hands off of him if at all possible.
Yeah, I mean, they're strong fish that can whip around, and depending on the type of pleco, they've got a couple sharp,
Man, those ventral fins and that dorsal spine are nasty.
Yeah,
on any catfish. Yeah,
I've gotten nailed by stir-by cories of all things a couple times now.
Oh man, yeah, I've got quite a few of them.
I guess, if you get their ventral fin, they've also got venom in there, but it's dilute by the water, luckily. Yeah. But for some people, it'll leave a nice little bee sting type welt.
I've gotten spined by more than one of my aquarium fish, but I think the worst thing that I ever experienced was I got spined by a saltwater catfish.
Oh boy.
Just pure fishing.
Yeah.
And they've got venom in their spines, and it's quite painful.
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of rockfish and sculpin and stuff like that too. That also,
definitely.
I mean, some are downright deadly if you get enough of them.
Certainly.
But very interesting topic. Somebody else asked for a link, so there's a link to his channel in the description below, and I highly recommend you guys go check it out. As I said, obviously you can see and hear that Brandon is a rad dude, very approachable. And somebody said, Alex, can you or do you know your plants by feel? Yeah, for the most part. Now I can't tell a Rotala super red from a Ludwigia purple or something. I wouldn't know that, but I can tell you like a Pogo stellatus versus a Rotala wallachia or a Onageton.
I can't necessarily tell the difference by feel between hardly any of the Rotalas and Ludwigias if they were next to each other.
That's hard, yeah. I mean,
but definitely the Pogostemons and the Ludwigias, I can tell the difference between. And I know I've got 3 or 4 different Anubias in my rainbow tank, and I don't remember the names of all of them, but I know I can definitely feel the difference between them, and 2 different swords, and God, I don't know how many different crypts, but but you can definitely tell the difference, just leaf shape,
size,
texture, and you've got the paper thin leaves, or you've got the really super sturdy leaves, and it's really it's fun. It's real fun. If it's a cool experiment if you just put a blindfold on or close your eyes and get your hands in your tank and just feel around.
Yeah, make sure that the catfish are not on the bottom. But no, I totally agree. I mean, I think that should be everyone's homework assignment is, close your eyes or put a blindfold on and try to pick out, or have someone, even if you're trimming your tank next time, hand you some of the plants and try to identify what they are by feel. I do that just because of trimming dense jungle tanks so often. I think a lot of people might be surprised by how many they recognize. Like you're gonna know a Bacopa versus a Kabamba or something like that.
Most definitely.
So, well, I want to thank you and also your mother for helping set up the camera and all that. But
thanks for having me on.
If you need a hand with anything that I can ever help with, please let me know. And if there's anybody in the fish fam that you could use a hand with something locally, you need help moving something or whatever, I've got a Facebook group. You can always either text me and or you could post something or whatever. But
Sure.
I mean, I just want to extend our community. We're all here for each other, and I think we all share that sentiment, and we're more than happy to try to help one another. That doesn't just go for you, but for everybody. You know, if anybody needs help with anything,
Definitely.
let's support one another. And you know, thank you so much for opening our eyes to a whole new side of fish keeping. I mean,
anytime. And any questions, just feel free, put them in the comments in any of my videos. Like I said, I try and respond to every comment that I get.
Right on.
So if you have a question.
Yeah, we just had one more question, which is Chevy Fish is one of my mods usually. She said, sorry if it was already mentioned, but is he 100% blind? And the answer is pretty much, yeah, he can see the sun if it's out in one eye. He can see it slightly, but yeah.
Yeah, I can detect some light.
Yeah.
But I can't see any kind of shapes, movement.
Wow.
Anything like that.
Well, I look forward to your videos. I look forward to talking to you again. If you ever want to come and chat about anything, you're always welcome on the channel. But also, you know, I just look forward to watching your channel and trying to, I mean, you don't know what you don't know until it hits you. And
exactly.
You're opening my mind to new aspects of fish keeping, because it's a very meditative process for me. And, you know, the senses that you use in order to do that. You know, I listen to podcasts and things while I do my fish keeping, you know, which is fun. But I think it's also important to sometimes just kill all the noise and listen to your tanks. And
I do that quite a bit, especially at night when the lights go out. My fish room is my Zen room, and
right on.
You know, I'll sit in here. Yeah, I don't need lights, you know, to maneuver anyway. Most of the time, I never hit a light switch as it is, and I'll just come in and sit down. And I love every one of my tanks. I can hear
right on
movement, and I love sitting down and just listening.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. You could sit in the dark and have the same experience as if you have all your lights on full blast too. So.
Right.
Saves on the energy bill maybe a little bit, huh?
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
I can put that energy into the tanks instead of into the overhead lighting.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know, thank you so much. Thank you, super chatters, mods, and those of you who had questions. If you have further questions, obviously he's a super nice, approachable guy. And I think we'll wrap up the live stream here, but yeah, definitely check out his channel. I know I've said that enough times, but I mean it. I think you have a lot that you can teach this community, and you have a perspective and a take on life that is very unique. I've never heard it in this hobby, you know.
It's just a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's what we need. We need more ways to look at the world and different realities that are all valid, you know.
Definitely.
So you can
accomplish anything. You just got to step back and figure out the best way to approach it.
Right on. I mean, yeah, you're proof of that. I mean, for a lot of people, it seems like, why would you keep fish if you can't see them? And I don't mean that in, you know, a rude way or anything, but I think today you've illuminated to a lot of people all the reasons why you would. It is makes perfect sense to me, you know. So
yeah.
So thank you, and also for giving me some new ways to interact with my tanks, you know,
definitely
new ideas of how to experience them with our other
if you've got an empty tank sitting around, just try setting one up for fun without looking at what you're doing.
Oh yeah, man.
And then open your eyes and see what you made.
Oh man, it'd be a mess is what I'd make, but I do want to try it now. Maybe I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll do it and I'll send you the video. I'll show you I'll tell you how it went.
Call it the blind challenge.
Yeah, the blind channel. There you go. That's the next craze on FishTube. I'd love to see that. Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, I'd love to see the photos. That's for sure. And I'll explain them to you. So,
Yeah.
David Rayner says, "Swim on, Brandon." Everyone's saying thank you, and thanks for coming on here and for making us laugh, making us think. I really, really appreciate your time and just the energy you've shared with us. So thank you.
Anytime, anytime. Thanks again for having me, Alex.
Of course. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Be thankful for your senses, explore them, and everything in life. Don't take anything for granted. And we all have things we're missing and things that we have an advantage in. So remember to live life to the fullest all the time. Talk to you guys next time.